If you're a frequent PNW Haunts and Homicides listener, you probably already know we're Birdie ambassadors.
We wanted to take a quick moment to tell you a little bit more about this awesome product.
Birdie is the modern personal safety alarm made for women by women.
In a situation where you feel threatened or unsafe, you can simply activate Birdie's loud siren and flashing light to create a diversion.
Birdie is perfect to carry anytime because the device is lightweight and comes in a variety of colors.
So important. Use our ambassador link and coupon code PNW Haunts and Homicides to receive 10% off your purchase. Like our social media handles, the coupon code is all spelled out, no special characters.
You can find the link and promo code in our show notes or PNW Haunts and Homicides link tree.
Have a safe ass day.
Hi, Cassie. Hi, Caitlin.
This is PNW Haunts and Homicides.
Yes, it is.
Sure is.
You creepy people know.
Can you hear the sound of shuffling?
Shuffle it.
You did some pre-shuffling prior to recording.
I did a lot of pre-shuffle.
This is a really tough deck to shuffle.
Mm-hmm. It is. Let's do it on the table so y'all can hear it. Oh, that was a good one.
I think you can hear it. Okay. We've got 2 of Wands.
Ooh, and it's in reverse.
It is. Do you have the little book?
Oh, I do. I'm hiding it over here with all my things. You find it because you're faster.
Okay. I don't know that is factual, but...
It's factual. The 2 of Wands says, you're a commanding presence looking down on the world below you. The phone in your hand holds questions while you wonder what to do and where to go next. You've had success lately, but you're a bit uncertain about the next steps. It's not time to rest yet, though. Don't get distracted and stay fixed on your goal.
I feel like the 2 of Wands, at least in the big book, the little bit that I kind of read ahead, I feel like either way you look at this card, it could apply.
Oh, okay. So in the reverse, it means surprise, wonder, enchantment, emotion, trouble, and fear.
Trouble and fear.
Well,
okay.
Yeah. That could happen with your case.
You're like, it's a true crime episode, so that feels about right.
Like surprise and enchantment. Is that like a part of it, do you think?
Surprise.
Oh, no. Okay.
This is a pretty wild case, actually. And I think probably when we get into it, it will become somewhat apparent why I picked this one. Because I think definitely it's interesting to look at these cases where there's linkage to other, maybe slightly more notorious killers. You know, in one of my last episodes, we were talking about Joseph Condro, and Keith Jesperson happened to have made some comments about his case. And you'll see that there is a little bit of a repeating theme with these 2 cases where there are some tie-ins with other well-known. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm like, I don't want to give it all away. So transport yourself.
I am.
You've been there. I mean, at least generally geographically recently with one of Cassie's cases.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant in real life.
Oh, no. You have not been there actually.
Okay, I get it.
All right. So Anchorage, Alaska.
Nice.
Yeah.
Alaska.
I feel like all I think about is fish.
I think about bears.
Oh, bears might be something that most people would think about, but I just know that like my dad and his brothers spend a lot of time as commercial fishermen up in Alaska.
Nice.
Not necessarily all of it like in this specific area, but that was an interesting little tie-in. I'm like, oh, Dad, did you brush shoulders with anybody?
Ooh.
Not this guy, because he would have been too young.
Oof.
Yeah, but we're gonna just get into it.
Get in there.
All right. Another personal tie-in. Joshua Wade was born in Montana in 1980.
Wow.
All of my mom's side of the family, all of my aunts and uncles were born in Montana.
Ooh.
I'm not sure what area of Montana he was born in, but interesting little factoid for me, at least. I'm like, ooh, God, just stop it with all of you guys that are just creeping all up in the areas that I know and love.
Get out of my areas.
Yeah, get out of my bubble. So Joshua Wade spent his childhood in San Diego, one of my favorite places in California.
Yeah.
His parents had been Mormons, and they did a real quick 180 when he was a child and left the church.
Oh.
They apparently replaced religion with partying.
Oh, maybe they should have stayed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's questionable. Which I don't know. I mean, get after it, I guess, if you want to party. But
I like partying, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying if this is how your kid turns out, I don't know if that was the best decision.
yeah, it's not an ideal environment for kids, as
Yeah.
we will come to find. His parents, Bubba and Catherine, Bubba, both had their fair share of infidelity, and their relationship was physically violent at times, at least reportedly.
Oh.
So they split at some point, and Josh lived with his mother and his sister until she felt that she could no longer manage trying to care for him. Yeah. I
That's
mean,
sad.
it's kind of a sad situation because you have a kid that probably is really lashing out for a variety of reasons. And there's a lot of stuff that happened in his early life that I chose not to include, but definitely I think that there's enough there to indicate that he was probably a very unhappy child. He was sent at that point in his kind of early teens to live with his dad in Anchorage, Alaska. Unfortunately, his father wasn't really in much better shape to deal with him either. His father had started out with a completely legitimate and legal employment opportunity in Alaska, but eventually ended up dealing illicit drugs.
Oh.
So again, live your life, but probably not the best environment for most children.
Not legit.
Yeah, not great. Joshua Wade really seemed to start life out on the wrong foot in more ways than one. As previously stated, as he grew older, his mother no longer thought that she could handle him. At age 10, he had already begun exhibiting extreme and very aggressive behavior.
Ooh.
He was oftentimes very violent.
Oh.
Just 2 years later, at the tender age of 12, he was already acquainted with the legal system because of both his petty crimes and violent acts.
At 10?
At 12.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, so
Well,
around
still.
yeah. No, not great, really. Either way you slice that. Most of his younger years had been spent in and out of juvenile detention centers.
Oh.
During this time, he was arrested and released for one crime really kind of right after another.
Jeez.
Yeah, not a great start.
So young.
I know. I mean, it really is. It's sad. In fact, at 16, he had already been carrying a handgun. He had been skimming from his father's drug supply to deal himself.
Ooh.
And also feed his own habit.
Man, I bet his dad was real happy about that.
Yeah. Well, we're going to find that his father had some real, I would say it's kind of a Sons of Anarchy type of a vibe.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah.
But without all the fun, like, cool show things.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not a Netflix special, to my knowledge. So I would say, keeping in mind that, he's already been carrying a gun, this is significant later when we find out just how young he was when he commit his first murder.
Oh.
As a teen, he had also been accused of sexually abusing a 6-year-old girl that he had been babysitting from time to time.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yes, I'm sorry that we didn't insert a warning on that one. We're not going to go into this super deep. That I have a lot more information about this that I'm going to gloss over, and we're going to move on.
Thanks.
Josh's father intervened and pressured the girl's mother to prevent her from pressing charges. Joshua Wade had been sexually abused at roughly the same age as a child, allegedly by other neighborhood kids.
Oh,
Yeah.
kids. I guess,
Yeah.
like, older kids, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about just really, like, kids that were maybe only a couple of years older than him, it sounds like. Obviously, that's still a really horrific crime.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's upsetting.
What are these kids doing?
Ugh. By 19, he was a full-fledged felon.
Oh.
It would be the following year, when Joshua was 20, that his crimes would hit an all-time violent high once again. For now, we're just going to rewind a little bit to Josh's early teens to talk about the first murder that he committed. On May 11th, 1994, Joshua Wade was roaming the streets, apparently hungry as his father had refused to feed him for several days.
What the fuck?
This is when Joshua Wade, who was just 14 years old, he murdered 38-year-old John Michael Martin, who was unemployed and struggled with schizophrenia.
Dang, he like overtook a 38-year-old?
Yeah, it sounds like this was a crime of opportunity. I'm not going to go into some of these male victims as much because I don't think there's as much information about them as some of his female victims, unfortunately. I also know that we, as an audience, we don't know about these until many, many moons after they have occurred.
Oh, okay.
Just 5 years later, he killed 30-year-old Henry Ontuyuk. One thing that's interesting to know about his crimes that might shed some light on why more people aren't familiar with his case is that Joshua Wade was active around the same time as Israel Keyes.
Oh.
Both living in Alaska.
Wow.
So I told you, like, with both of the cases that I'm recording recently, it's like there's these weird little similarities or tie-ins with other, I would say, more famous serial killers.
Yeah.
When I went to do my research, there's like a tenth of the resources out there for Joshua Wade compared to Israel Keyes, and they're apples and oranges in terms of kind of a lot of things. We'll see. I'm probably not going to go super deep on that. And I would say probably the same for Joseph Condro versus Keith Jesperson. I feel like there's a lot more information. It's definitely a more high profile case. There's a lot more out there about, Keith Jesperson than there is about Joseph Condro.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting. I definitely want to try to find some cases where, even if I'm having to download some kind of obscure books or look through court records, some things like that, try to bring you something that's a little bit different.
Yes, I love that.
So, though Keyes committed far more violent crimes, and in many places all over the country, I do think that there's some tie-ins. If nothing else, they both lived in Alaska, but I don't think it ends there. In researching, and I think I already kind of touched on this, I think you'd be hard pressed to find even a tenth of the volume of articles and other media about Joshua Wade compared to Israel Keyes. And I think it's very much the same with Condro versus Jesperson. Now, of course, most of us in true crime circles know that Israel Keyes was a truly mind-blowingly prolific serial killer.
Yeah.
Honestly, let's all hope we never see anyone that comes close to that level of evil again in our lifetimes. But this story isn't about Keyes, because I can't go there yet. I'm not ready for Keyes.
I'm not ready.
So let's get into this. Fair warning, I do think everyone here knows that sometimes our subject matter is rough, but today we will be discussing further violent crimes, including rape. Prepare yourselves however you can. And if that means skipping this one, we'll understand, because we love you, creepy people.
I'm going to drink.
Yeah, we're going to drink. Joshua murdered both men and women over the course of several years, and the crimes would become increasingly brutal.
Ew.
One night, while Joshua Wade was driving with friends, the group stumbled upon a woman incapacitated in the middle of the road.
Ooh.
Not ideal.
Road.
Not a good place to take a nap, my friend.
No.
Wade made a stunning comment that he might like to run her over.
Oh, Jesus, that escalated quickly.
Mm-hmm. I'll pause for you guys to just take a big old gulp of that wine if you're still with us.
Oh.
There you go. Instead, another of his friends dragged the woman to the side of the road. Now, granted, not exactly to safety, and certainly not rendering any assistance beyond that. But of course, that was at least slightly better than Wade's suggested alternative.
Yeah, a little bit better.
Yeah. Yet, even as the night wore on and his friends had clearly moved on and were happily drinking in the garage while they worked away on their vehicles, Joshua was still thinking about that woman. And he had no plans to rescue her.
Oh, that's creepy.
He told his friends that he wanted to see if the woman they had previously seen had any cash on her.
Ugh.
His real intentions, I think, from the very beginning were far darker. Wade returned to retrieve his unwitting and still unconscious victim from the side of the road and pulled her into a nearby shed where he violently raped and murdered the woman.
Oh.
I've read quite a bit on this account, and we're going to share some things in terms of what the coroner's assessment was, but I'm not going to get into some of those brutal details, minute to minute.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't need to know.
The victim was Della Brown. She was a 33-year-old woman. And as I said, the attack was incredibly brutal. The coroner testified that Della's skull was so damaged it resembled a bag of ice.
Oh my goodness.
He had also singed her eyelids and hair,
What?
leaving spent matches on the floor of the shed that he had dragged her to.
Oh. He lit her eyelids on fire?
He
Or, like-
lit matches and then would take, I don't know if it was still lit or if it was recently blown out, but he then used that to
Oh.
singe parts of her body.
Jesus.
I'm going to leave out a lot here, guys.
Okay.
This was a really, really hard listen. But I think we've talked about this before. I feel like if, for somebody like me, especially, who's trying to present the true crime stories to you, I feel like it's a little bit my responsibility to listen to the whole story and maybe filter a little bit and figure out what is beneficial for us to understand about her experience. But I'm trying to be a storyteller and I think I need to bear witness to all of it.
Yeah.
So you're welcome.
Thanks for being our filter.
We're
We're gonna have to clean you out.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a real cleanse after this, guys. She had been left there for days before being found. Thank God it's Alaska.
Yeah.
Joshua Wade did two significant things to try to obfuscate forensic evidence related to his crime that night. My stomach, honestly, it absolutely turned when listening to the account of these events. I mean,
can't.
it's the brutality of the attack against her and some of those really awful details, but it's also just the aspects of it that are so premeditated in such a cold and calculating way that I have a hard time processing how anybody does that to another human. I don't think I'm unique in that, but
No. I have a hard time processing why anyone is just mean in general to another human.
I don't get it. I don't get it. But Joshua had already savagely beaten Della when he decided to return to the garage where his friends were and obtain a condom from one of his friends.
Oh. Were they not like?
We'll get to
Okay.
it. Well, here's the thing. You don't want your pesky DNA giving away your identity when the brutalized body of a raped and murdered woman turns up, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Let's face it, finding Joshua Wade's semen would have been pretty damning evidence in this case. So he's not going to let that happen.
Wrap it up.
He was covered in Della's blood. He shows up, asks this group of friends for a condom. He's covered in blood.
The fuck?
But he told them it's just spaghetti sauce.
We were just playing in some spaghetti and decided we needed to fuck. What?
I can't. The amount of culpability on the part of some of these other people, and we're going to get to it. But so two things. Why are you coming up for that bizarre and lame excuse? Number one, spaghetti sauce? Who is buying that? Who is buying that line of bullshit?
Apparently his friends.
But number two, why are you then handing over a condom without any further questions? Guys, seriously?
They didn't want to be a cock block.
I've gone nonverbal, which is going to be a problem. Joshua Wade is the only person responsible for his horrific actions, but there are definitely some red flags that people either somehow miraculously missed, just plain go straight overhead, or they just totally ignored.
That's crazy.
You just don't want to see it,
No.
so you don't.
Spaghetti sauce seems legit.
Yeah. Perfectly reasonable excuse. Because spaghetti sauce and, a copious amount of human blood, they look very similar.
Didn't he tell them he was going to go see if she had any money on her?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Guys, there are so many holes in your story. Cassie did not listen to hours and hours of the audio about this crime, and she's identified that there are some problematic pieces.
Yeah.
There's some things missing. And man, I got to tell you, there was a whole account about multiple friends of his wearing a wire, trying to get him to confess to the crime. And this is just, I couldn't go there. It's so dumb. It's just like Three Stooges wearing a wire.
Oh my God.
And they were, even if they got what they wanted on the wire, none of these guys was going to be considered a good witness in court because they were all criminals. And being a criminal doesn't automatically mean you're a liar, but these were all like other violent criminals. So the credibility just, it's a problem.
Oh man.
So part 2 was all about contaminating evidence and the crime scene, as well as implicating the friends that would have not only seen Della, his victim, of course, but also known his whereabouts at the time of the attack. Mm-hmm. This is where it gets really devious.
Okay.
He couldn't help but brag about the crime to his father and others.
Wow.
It seems like the advice his father gave him following his confession to the gruesome deed actually inspired these other tactics for implicating others through trace evidence. His father knew that Joshua was prone to exaggerating or even making things up. So he said, if the person is still alive, you should call an ambulance. And if not, you better make sure no one could tell you were at the scene of the crime.
Wow. Great advice.
Thanks, Dad.
Very fatherly.
Yeah. Joshua then proceeded to throw the rock he had bludgeoned Della with in a nearby lake. He also convinced 2 of his drunk friends to accompany him to the shed the night of the murder.
Oh.
Joshua gave one friend his blood-stained hoodie to wear as he shivered at the sight of Della's body.
Oh my God.
So let me just rewind. Maybe I probably didn't explain this well enough. Joshua has been with his friends, drinking all night. He decides to go home. He says, Daddy, look what I did. Dad says, I've got some really great advice for you. Joshua goes back to his friends to act on his father's advice and try to implicate them in the crime.
That's crazy.
This guy has been back and forth all night.
Isn't he tired?
I know I am. Joshua, like I said, gave his one friend the bloodstained hoodie to wear. Awesome.
Here, wear this.
What a good friend. This friend was told to, and did in fact, promise to keep his mouth shut. The second friend didn't see the whole crime scene, but Joshua did manage to pass the shovel he'd used in the attack on Della to him in the back seat of the car that they had driven down to the shed. So he's just like, oh, here, let me pass you this piece of evidence.
Yeah.
Let me pass you this murder weapon. I can't. Why are we accepting bloody shovels?
They're obviously not the smartest we've established.
And I don't like to demean people for, not being able to process this or not having the intellect to. Come on, guys. Give me something to work with. So Joshua thought involving his friends would make them less likely to report the crime, especially given their own criminal records.
And now that they're touching all of the evidence.
Yeah, you're implicated. Well, The strategy worked at first, but his hold over them wouldn't last for long, as it turns out. They would later call Crime Stoppers to claim a measly $1,000 reward that they split between the two of them. $500 is all it takes.
Oh my God.
Frustratingly, Joshua Wade was not convicted for Della's rape and murder. This is where the audio that I've listened to, the articles I've read, there's a lot out there, and I'm going to try to just boil it down to you.
Okay.
The only forensic evidence that may have linked him to the crime was deemed inadmissible due to a filing error.
Oh my God.
Holy hell, that was only a small piece of the whole goddamn mess.
Ugh.
We're not going to get into this too much because, like I said, I'm going to try to boil it down for you guys, but I just absolutely fucking can't with this. It's horrific enough that he didn't initially have to pay for his crimes against Della after already having successfully murdered 2 other people as a teen. What makes it so much worse is that without being brought to justice and serving the time he should have, this left him free to commit another ghastly crime.
Great.
It's not going to get better.
No.
Unfortunately, and like I said, there's a lot that played into this, but we're looking at a situation where the prosecutor that was handling the case at the time when it would have gone to trial, he fell ill and had to resign. And 2 very fresh-faced prosecutors took over the case. Neither one of them had either tried a murder case.
Oh, wow.
And they really had a very short time to prepare. It was a situation where, unfortunately, the system didn't work in the favor of justice in this situation, obviously.
That doesn't seem fair.
No, it doesn't. And, it's frustrating, but nobody's more frustrated than the family of his next victim, I would deign to suggest. We've got another promo roll that we are really excited to share today.
Hi, everyone. This is Elise from True Crime Cat Lawyer. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Winston the Cat. Every other Thursday, Winston and I bring you a new story about a murder, disappearance, or serial killer with a special focus on cases from our hometown, the Pacific Northwest. This includes Idaho, Oregon, Washington, and British Columbia. For more information, you can find us on Twitter at True Crime Cat Law or on Instagram at True Crime Cat Lawyer, and feel free to send us an email at truecrimecatLawyer@gmail.com. We hope you'll give us a listen.
You guys, we're back. So, in 2007, Joshua Wade was living with 2 roommates that he really enjoyed creeping the fuck out. That's putting it pretty mildly.
Like, not in a good way. Not
no.
like, I'm pulling creepy pranks on you.
Not like, ooh, let's go stay at the Heathman and see some ghosts.
Oh.
No, it wasn't like that at all.
Damn.
One of the men reported that during the time he lived with Joshua, he'd been sitting on the couch in the living room one day when he realized, in absolute horror, there was a red dot on his chest.
Holy shit.
I mean, if any of you are unfamiliar with what that might be or why that's happening.
He was just playing with a cat, right? With a laser pointer.
Yeah, just with a laser pointer. Josh was actually standing nearby laughing as he pointed his Glock at the man.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So kind of like playing with a laser pointer with your cat, but also nothing like that at all.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Apparently, it wasn't enough, though, to torture these poor fools that he shared a common space with. His roommates reported that he catcalled their next-door neighbor. Mindy Schloss was a 52-year-old psychiatric nurse.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Like, kind of an incredible lady from the sounds of it. Unfortunately, she lived alone. And despite the fact that she was not an Alaska native, Joshua was attracted to her because she was an older woman with curly dark hair.
Okay. Yeah, I bet she was hot. Stay away from her.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I mean, this is, I feel like, where it's important to maybe stop just for a beat and reflect on the fact that Joshua was someone who is known to specifically go on kind of these tirades about really problematic and abusive ideas and thoughts about Alaska Natives, especially Alaska Native women.
Oh, wow.
He had a special hatred for them.
Why?
And
Why, Caitlin?
I'm not sure where that came from for him. And honestly, I don't really care to find out. And
Jeez.
this is as much as I'm probably gonna touch on that, because he killed men, women, Native women. He killed Anglo-Saxon people that had no roots in Alaska, people that maybe didn't have a lot of roots anywhere else. It's hard to say, honestly. The rage that he held for these people, I'm not sure where that came from. There's no factual, there's no basis for it.
Yeah.
It's ugly, and it's the type of thing that drives us absolutely nuts.
He was just a dick.
He was just a dick, and he's hating on the natives, and go back to 1860. So I don't know what else to say. Here's where it does get a little, well, all right, I'll let you be the judge. His father would later remark that Mindy, as well as other victims, resembled his mother, at least in a passing way.
Oh, okay.
Pretty nar-nar,
Yeah.
if you ask me. I mean, just super gross.
He's got some issues.
And I know that there is a legitimate psychological, foundation for some of this stuff, but what is with these dudes killing someone who looks like their mother?
It's a whole thing.
I've seen it explained, I've heard it explained, I felt like I understood it, and I just can't get there. When Joshua was fired from a construction job in August, he wasn't content to just lean into his habit of drinking or doing drugs to console himself. He decided instead to return to, I would say, an old mainstay and break into someone's home to try to scrounge up either cash or valuables. He broke into Mindy's home around 2 a.m. She was awoken by the sound of him moving around her home, because duh, she lives alone, so she's not expecting anyone at 2 a.m. She pleaded with him to take what he wanted and leave.
Oh.
Given her chosen career, it probably doesn't come as a surprise that she even tried to offer to help him.
Oh, that is so sad.
I know.
Oh my God.
We need a rosé sip break, right?
Just take the help, dude.
Mindy, you're a gem. Well, here's the thing. Joshua knew that Mindy would recognize him because he was her neighbor.
Yeah.
Because duh. No shit, Sherlock. So he knew that Mindy recognized him, so he made a quick decision. And he zip-tied her while she lay on the floor of her bathroom so that he could run home to get some supplies. To which I say, unfucking believable, dude. You didn't even come prepared.
I don't...
Men!
Always. But I don't believe that he just went over there just to rob her.
I mean, it's very possible, because I think we see this a lot where, a robbery escalates to like a very violent crime, but
I feel like he just had it planned, whether he was conscious of it or not when he went over there. I feel like, sometimes we see a situation where this could just be a simple
breaking and entering, a robbery type situation. This is someone that just wants to like smash and grab whatever they can get their hands on. Very quickly, this becomes more of a home invasion, a violent attack.
If he really wanted to rob someone, he would have gone somewhere where he knew they wouldn't recognize him.
Right.
I feel like.
I think so,
I
too.
don't know. I might be way off base here.
Yeah. Here's the thing. All this time while he's grabbing supplies that I don't want to tell you how to do your job, and I don't want to make you a better criminal, certainly, but like maybe come prepared. I mean, just garbage.
Supplies
just fucking garbage.
is icky too. Like, you need to go get supplies for what?
We'll get there.
I don't want to know.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing. Poor Mindy, no doubt, scared shitless, wondering if he was coming back or if he would just take off. She's there the whole time. She's zip-tied. She, for all intents and purposes, unless she's some sort of a secret operative, like, how's she going to get out of that?
Yeah.
Sadly, he did return, armed with various supplies and his Glock. Joshua claimed that he did not continue the attack in her home, but since his pubic hair was found in her living room on the carpet, I think survey says that was a lie.
Oh.
Somebody call Maury.
Oh my gosh. What's the DNA on this pubic hair?
Ugh. Just come on.
That's disgusting.
Before leaving the home, he grabbed her wallet and coerced her into providing the PIN for her debit card. He's honestly already the worst. I think it's been established, but here's where I know things get really ugly for Mindy. Joshua then forced Mindy into the backseat of her car and drove for roughly an hour. It's Alaska. Where
are you going?
I digress. He stopped at an abandoned cul-de-sac. This is where he removed her zip ties and led her into the forest. At some point, one of Mindy's leather clogs came off, as she was no doubt trembling ahead in, I can't even picture what that's like.
No.
Yeah.
She's going into a forest.
Right. That, how is this ending well?
Yeah.
The fact that he takes you with him after he's, robbed you and based on the forensic evidence, more than likely raped you. It's not great. She begged Joshua to let her go, stating she'd give him money, basically whatever he wanted. He then performed a cruel ruse by telling Mindy that he'd cut her loose, but he had to have time to get away. He shoved a rag into her mouth as he instructed her to drop to her knees. He shot Mindy point blank in the back of the head.
Jeez.
Joshua doused her body in lighter fluid and threw straight garbage into the flames to keep them going.
Oh.
Obviously, this very significantly desecrated her remains.
Yeah.
So, here's where we get a little bit of a ha-ha, motherfucker, ha-ha. This asshole then had the audacity to park her car at the airport parking lot and even used her debit card to withdraw $500 the very next day.
Oh.
He wore a disguise, and at this point, it wasn't apparent that anything had happened to Mindy just yet. But this ignoramus apparently didn't feel like he had taken enough from her yet. The very next morning, he performed another withdrawal. But as a teller, I used to work as a teller. This is like exactly what I picture happening in any crime at a bank.
Ooh.
he forgot to take the card back before it was drawn into the ATM. Apparently, this cretin wasn't super familiar with the latest in banking security. Because, guys, if you don't take your card back, the machine will suck it up.
Yeah.
Just in case you didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh, when I read this, I was like, yes. Oh, Mindy is fucking you so hard from the grave. Ugh.
I hope so. I hope she had something to do with that.
I just was like, ah. When he realized the card could not be recovered for additional future use, he made a big mistake.
What'd he do?
Dude removed his disguise within sight of one of the bank's cameras.
Dipshit.
I love it when they do stupid shit when they think they've been so smart.
Aren't his fingerprints all over that card too?
Just saying. Yeah, not the brightest bulb. I don't know. Maybe he was wearing gloves, but I kind of doubt
that's
it.
True.
So, fortunately, a friend of Mindy's realized something was up when she hadn't shown up for work and seemed to have fallen off of the face of the earth.
That is my biggest fear of like not hearing from one of my friends for like a day or two.
Oh my God. Seriously, if you don't text me back within like 3 hours, I'm reporting you missing.
I'm getting my hair done, Caitlin. Calm down.
Okay, that happened today, and that was well within the 3-hour period, okay? I knew you were getting your hair done. I knew where you were. Everything was fine. I wasn't about to report you missing. Calm down, Cassie. God.
Sure.
So, Hero Friend Award, she reported her missing. Another friend that had often fed Mindy's cats for her visited the home, and when, he thought it was pretty odd that her bed was made all up.
Oh.
Apparently that was something she just didn't do.
Because fuck making a bed. You're just going to mess it up anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Well, here's what I'm really saying. Probably because she was a busy-ass nurse trying to help people that she came into contact with over the course of her career. I'm with you, Mindy. Don't make that bed. Science says it keeps that shit cleaner for longer when the linens can breathe. And literally, no one has time for that shit.
Do you tell Chris that?
I tried. He's like, I'm still making the bed. Anyway, I digress. Got a little off track with the bed thing.
It happens.
Well, here's why this is significant. Because this was just one more fuck up on Joshua's part.
He made her bed.
Oh my God.
Oh, sorry. Did I ruin it?
Oh, no, I can't believe you guessed that. He had returned to Mindy's home after the murder to take whatever valuables he could find and, just do like a little light cleaning, make the bed.
That's so creepy. Like, this woman is not coming home and you fucking make her bed. Like,
he probably thinks like, oh, I'll just make the bed because she's like a single woman that lives alone. Like, I'll make the bed so it looks like everything's fine. Yeah. But Jesus, this guy
crazy.
Just makes me so mad because it's just so mind-numbingly weird and dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Also, guys, remember how he parked her car at the airport?
Yep.
This raised additional alarm bells because her motherfucking house was within walking distance of the airport.
Oh my God, what an idiot.
Joshua, are you okay? You live next door to this woman. You know this. I think he was trying to make it look like she took off or something, but even if she did, which it seems like that was totally out of character for her, why wouldn't she leave her goddamn car parked in front of her own goddamn house, Joshua?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how expensive airport parking is? Brah.
For real. And did he pack her like luggage or anything? Like, I could understand maybe she didn't want to pack her luggage.
You are a fucking psychic.
Did he pack her luggage?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm going to get to it.
I was like, oh my God.
I'm going to get to it. Okay. So police, after they get this missing persons report, they then checked out the car and they found male DNA on the steering wheel. Obviously not Mindy's. So one for the home team there. They also found a shoe print from one of her clogs, as well as her purse and wallet.
Oh my God. What?
Who leaves their
idiot
fucking wallet when they're getting on a plane? You literally can't. You need your ID.
Why didn't he steal her wallet?
There's so many things. He stole just the ATM card. Well, here's the problem with that. They also, oddly, found that there was a slip of paper in her wallet with her PIN.
Interesting.
Y'all, who's catching a flight and leaving their wallet?
Yeah, nobody.
You're not doing that.
Not realistic.
So this dude basically leaves a breadcrumb. Shit. Well,
he needs. He's got a breadcrumb. Sorry.
I can't. Words are hard, man. What can I say? So this dude basically leaves a breadcrumb trail for the police, who review surveillance footage from her bank and find his creepy fucking face. So, worried that his crimes would catch up with him, he bullied his other neighbors into silence about the fact that he lived near the victim. He wasn't on the lease with these other two roommates that were like, hey, why are you always aiming your gun at us? It's a lot.
They didn't want to put him on the lease?
No, he didn't want the police to know where he lived, so he wanted to be undocumented.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, you bully witnesses. Well, this was his undoing. Police were approached by a neighbor that shared the bizarre and menacing account of him basically being like, I don't live here. You don't know me.
Jeez.
Yeah.
If anyone said that to me, I would call the police immediately.
Yeah, of course. Because you're like, I'm afraid for my life now. That's when they brought in the dogs.
Oh, puppers.
Literal dogs, you guys. The puppers led police to Josh's home.
Good.
Where, yeah, literally, the dogs were like, smell the lady in her house. Okay, all right, we're going to go to this house because she was clearly, yeah, we smell her there. Okay. So Josh's home, where they found one of the ATM receipts from the withdrawals from Mindy's account.
Idiot.
So they recovered that, along with her gold watch. Joshua was already evading law enforcement, knowing full well that they were likely onto him. So he's in the wind.
Okay.
So he goes to visit a friend.
He has a lot of friends for someone who doesn't treat his friends very well.
Joshua. This friend eventually placed a call to the SWAT team when Joshua showed up at her home in September unexpectedly. Because she's like, Joshua, I've been hearing a lot of things about you, like, in the news. And I wasn't really expecting to see you. And you just, like, look kind of, like, hot and sweaty and weird.
Oh, you sound like Alexis.
I know, I was channeling some Alexis vibes there. I'm a little bit Alexis.
You are. You're a lot of bit Alexis.
I'm a lot of bit Alexis. Shortly after being arrested, Mindy's body was discovered.
Oh.
Deep breath.
Okay.
This is where things start to get better. Whew. Shake it out.
Oh, jinx.
All right. A combination of both forensic and circumstantial evidence, as well as the testimony of his friend, built a case against Joshua Wade. During the time he was being held, somehow Joshua actually reconnected with an old girlfriend who he previously had a very historied story of abuse against. It's,
Aw.
I hate him. I hate this for her. I don't.
Yeah.
Okay. Lisa, you can do better.
Come on.
He confessed to her that he had killed Mindy.
Oh my God.
He continued to commit violent acts in prison against his other inmates, but eventually, faced with the overwhelming evidence, he pled guilty to avoid the death penalty because, seriously, don't they fucking all?
Always. I don't know why these people are so scared of death.
Why are you
when
so
they
afraid to die?
kill
You
people.
love killing other
Yes.
people.
I don't get it.
Oh, it makes me so mad. The one thing you're afraid of is what you inflict on other people
Yes.
in the most horrific of circumstances.
How the fuck do you think they feel? They don't care.
They don't care. Yeah. No, I mean, that's... Okay. All right. I'm going to get my news anchory voice on because we are going to read something very official.
Okay.
The following was obtained from an article released by the U.S. Attorney's Office via the FBI's website. Ooh. The original sentences opposed against Wade required that he be imprisoned for at least 66 years by the state of Alaska Department of Corrections before being eligible for parole on the state conviction. If Wade was paroled, he would be transferred to the Federal Bureau of Prisons to serve the balance of his life behind bars for the federal conviction with no possibility of release. Under the terms of an agreement later reached by Wade and state and federal law enforcement, Wade agreed to provide information about 3 murders that he claims responsibility for committing. In exchange, prosecutors agreed to transfer Wade from state prison to a maximum security federal prison outside of Alaska to serve his life sentence. Oh my God. He literally broke my news anchor voice.
Oh no. That was really good.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Oh, Joshua, I hate you so much. In closing out this horrible story, I wanted to share a really poignant statement that was made by Monty Francis. Francis is an award-winning television journalist and true crime writer from the Bay Area. Francis tells the story of Joshua Wade in the book Ice and Bone, Tracking an Alaskan Serial Killer, and had this to say in summary in 2016. Although Joshua Wade has spent almost a decade behind bars in Alaska, Indiana, and now Texas, his evil acts continue to have repercussions in many people's lives. The FBI is confident Wade has killed at least 5 people, and we can speculate about at least a few other unsolved cases. But the true number of his victims reaches into the dozens. That's because murder is never just a solitary act. The consequences for the victim's loved ones often play out in the most unfortunate and tragic of ways for years following the crime. There were some really, really sad pieces of Della's mother's testimony related to her case. Yeah. And I think this is so true. And I remember reading it and going, his victims reaches into the dozens. And I'm like, what? And then there's like the M. Night twist where you're like, this isn't actual murder victims. This is all of the people that surround those people. And I mean, Jesus, even the people dumb as a box of rocks as his friends were, you know, that were around him, and, you know, maybe they weren't super upstanding citizens themselves, but the things that they witnessed were far beyond what they were capable of committing themselves. And
they didn't ask to be part of murder.
No, not by any stretch, it seems like. So I just thought that was really interesting. This is someone that, like I said, wrote an entire book about Joshua Wade and kind of reflected on how these crimes span decades, even if they're committed in short succession, and how they affect more than just the people that are actually killed. And I feel like, especially in these last couple of episodes, we've talked about a couple of killers that their impact is very deeply felt in ways that at the start of this, maybe we didn't anticipate. It's been a hell of a ride.
Yeah.
We'll just try to see if we can find somebody who maybe commit a bank robbery or something in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, let's try that.
And as I say that, I'm like, I don't want to cover DB Cooper, you guys.
I want you to.
Oh, fuck.
I'll cover
All
him.
right. All right. Well, I'll consider it.
I love that story.
I've got a couple in my back pocket. I've got definitely one that's like a Washington unsolved case from the 80s. So we'll see. I do feel like I would it's been interesting to tie some of these guys together and create some of those interesting parallels, but yeah, I mean, god damn. They're gnarly. Some of these guys have been particularly brutal recently. So if you guys have any suggestions for somebody that's maybe a killer of a lesser caliber, I don't know how else to put that.
It's hard because they're all freaking terrible.
They're all terrible. They're all terrible. But I feel like unfortunately people like my last case where they start so young and they kill people that are so young.
So young.
Yeah, both of these last two cases, they were rough.
I don't know how you get so violent at such a young age. It's crazy to me.
I know it really does boggle my mind. And I'm sure, maybe people are sick of hearing true crime people say they don't understand murder. Do you want us to?
I know. And it would be a whole different podcast if we understood murder.
Yeah, I think that's a totally different ball game there.
Yeah.
So, if we look back on this particular card, in the reverse, we're looking at that Two of Wands again. This is a pretty short description, and I feel like the reverse sometimes is. It's surprise, wonder, enchantment, emotion, trouble, and fear. I think it's really about how you want to spin those choice of words. There's definitely some surprises in this one, a lot of emotion, trouble, and fear. I don't think I need to explain any of those to you guys.
It seems pretty straightforward this time.
Yeah. Some of the details that I didn't get into related to the rape, torture, and murder of Della maybe would be a little bit enlightening in terms of the wonder and enchantment that Joshua had in that encounter. And it's super gross. And I understand how maybe this card, in just like the gnarliest way possible, ties in. You guys are free to do your research. I don't want to yuck you guys too much. It was pretty icky. We all understand how brutal these cases can be, but I don't need to grind it in. We can talk about it without having to go into too much gnarly detail. It's out there, and I'll be selective about the cases or the specific victims where I share some of those things. So you guys can let us know if you want to hear specifics related to certain cases, but I'm
gonna plug my ears and go la 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 la.
Yeah, Cassie's gonna pull a Caitlin and la 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 la. Nope. Please, no, thank you. Feels like a good place to close it out.
Yeah, I think we're pretty.
She's like, I'm so done with this.
So ready to leave.
So ready. All right, let's do this.
Have a creepy ass day. See you next Tuesday.
So, for all of you that are listening, if you have any true crime or paranormal stories that you want us to share, maybe with the whole Pacific Northwest.
Yes, we would love to read them on the pod.
Yes, we will read them out loud.
Not just in our heads.
Yes. They don't have to be from the Pacific Northwest if you would like to share. Email us at pnwhuntsandhomicides@gmail.com. It's all spelled out, no special characters. Super duper easy peasy.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Same thing as the email at pnwhauntsandhomicides, all spelled out, no special characters. Please also rate and review us on whatever platform you're listening to, and check out our stories on social media because our meme game is hot.
Agreed.
And if you agree, like Caitlin, you can also find us on Patreon and support the show.
Bitchin'. Continued to commit violent acts in prison against other inmates. Am I Australian?
Inmates.
Inmates. It has nothing to do with the wine. In fact, I'm going to refill because clearly that has no effect on me. I'm immune, you guys. Rosé, the calories don't count.
Definitely pink wine doesn't make you slutty.
That's why I drink so much of it.